It happens world over. People are killed, our people are killed. We sympathize, we moved on. Even world over. Remember, there was the same issue or similar in Capitol Hill. BBC World Service never took the opportunity to say something. It happened in London. They never said it. It happened in many Western nations. They never said it. Above all, there's the killing of women and children in Gaza, and BBC World Service never speak about it. Unfortunately, where 50,000 have been killed so far, especially women and children by a country. They never cover those things. So I think the timing of that report, and it comes at a time when IPOA and other executive agencies are doing an investigation, and they never shared that with them. Let us not subjugate or discriminate against our own agencies that we think are doing their jobs. It's a matter of us saying, let us ensure that they have capacity to do their job. But let us not clap hands for foreigners who always come and say, this is wrong, what you are doing. Pointing fingers at whatever we do. BBC is a world-renowned station, media station. They have never talked about the genocide that is happening in Gaza, and yet it's a world service. But they want to incite at this time. So, Honorable Speaker, I think why I'm raising this point, because the title itself talks about bloodbath parliament. They should have talked about the protests that happened that day in Kenya or Nairobi. But they chose to use the term bloodbath parliament. That is to also see parliament in a very bad light. This doesn't mean that we don't sympathize with our Kenyans who have been killed. We did here. We mourned them. We empathized with them. We sympathized with them. But the timings of this report by BBC World is unfortunate. And it touches on lack of patriotism also on our part, trying to showcase things done by a foreign media. I want to take on BBC World. Please go to Gaza and report also what is happening in Gaza as well.
Even if BBC heard it, it doesn't matter. We have to fix our own problems on our own. We don't have to wait for BBC to tell us there was something wrong. I have a problem with the title that they've given, but which is typical of any media house, because they want it to trend and then want it to, yeah. And because of that, Mr. Speaker, they may have given it that title. But, Mr. Speaker, we have not yet dealt with some of the issues. We have dealt with some, but one of the issues we have not dealt with is the trauma. Mr. Speaker, I said it when Honorable Elachi lost the son. Mr. Speaker, we have a very angry young generation in this country. And part of the anger is on the issues that we are seeing, Mr. Speaker. And we cannot bury our heads in the sand, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let Parliament take the lead. And let us find a way of helping these young people to heal. Because, Mr. Speaker, we don't know what may come in the next few months, next year, or whatever. And furthered by the fact that we have very many young people who are jobless, who are frustrated. And if these people, I don't know what their intention is. Their intention could be fuel more harm and whatever. I don't know what their intention is. But from the young people that have spoken, it has actually created more anger. We are taking them back to the path that they would rather not walk again. But they are walking it. And we don't know at what point somebody else will fuel it again. You can't stop the media. Somebody else will fuel that anger again.
And we understand, Mr. Speaker, even in media, that the BBC is funded by taxpayers' money in Britain, meaning that BBC is funded to push the foreign agenda of the British people internationally, Mr. Speaker. And so we must know, Is BBC speaking as a mouthpiece of the government and the people of Britain? Or what is it that the BBC is doing? Could it be an attempt to untwist this country so that they can rescind on the rider that we put on their training of the Batuk units in Kenya, Mr. Speaker, and perpetuate a history of extractive economy, oppressive economy, and exploitative economy in a very unfair trade balance between Kenya and the UK. Mr. Speaker, even as we debate this matter, it is not lost to us.
The reason some of these things become very emotive to some of us is because these killings did not just happen inside Parliament. The very first person that was killed out there, 29-year-old Erickson Mutisia, is from Kadhiani constituency, a place called Kisekini. So he was killed in the tarmac outside Parliament. And that was before they breached the fence. In fact, I want to imagine that that's probably one of the reasons why the youth were even more enraged, because they were unarmed. And when one of their own is killed, in cold blood outside, that obviously must have annoyed them. But some I want to I just mentioned how Parliament is captured, and I felt that maybe I need to elaborate. That what happened is this: the military were deployed to the streets. Military ordinarily cannot be deployed to the streets within the country without the consent of Parliament. Now, and I want you to go back to the records of Hansard, because this happened on June 25th, that when the military was in the streets. You check the Hansard records for the next day, because we're in Parliament the next day, in the morning. We attempted, that time as a minority party, to ask questions about how it was possible for the military to have been deployed to the streets of Nairobi without Parliament's approval. It was impossible for us to speak. It was, a motion was brought to the floor that was completely illegal and hastily passed by a few members of the majority that were in the House. So this is a problem we face as a country, that the rule of law is constantly ignored, even in Parliament itself. So that's why we have a problem.